Hi everyone, welcome to the debut episode of Poppin' Culture. I'm Adrian,
I'm Jay.
and we'll be your host for this, my first podcast ever.
Your first. I'm a veteran with my 18 months of podcast experience.
That's pretty much seasoned.
Right, yeah, in podcast land, that's forever.
You and Adam Carolla, I think, are really pushing that boundary.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's that whole copyright issue we're fighting, though. So
The patent troll?
Yeah.
We agreed not to get onto that on camera.
Sorry.
It's, legal reasons.
Anyway, so we're here. We're doing a video podcast, pop culture. I mean, that's kind of something we're both really into. We're going to be talking about TV, film, comics, maybe some video games at some point.
Some video games, some board games. We both share the love of comic books.
Absolutely. That's kind of where this all got born out of.
Hence, the huge stack of what came in this week.
Yes, your stack's a little bigger than mine, but we
I also
don't compare.
showed mine a little bit more love with bagging and boarding.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, Google it. He's a liar.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll be talking about various things in pop culture. Also, it's called Poppin' Culture because we're both semi-professional alcoholics as well. So each week we'll be featuring a different type of alcohol. This week we are inspired by, not sponsored by, but inspired by Peabody Jones Vodka.
Now, I picked this up at the Woodinville Whiskey Distillery for those of you in the Seattle area, and I told Jay, best vodka I've ever had in my life.
And being somebody who loves vodka, I said all vodka is probably the same if you're buying it here. But I've tried it, and it's fantastic.
In fact, we've tried about half a bottle so far the past hour.
Right, yes. Brand new bottle when we started. It's nigh half empty now.
That's the way it really should be.
Yeah, but it's very good, very smooth. I'm drinking straight. You've got it on the rocks with a little bit of Sprite mixed in there?
The Sprite's gone at this point. It's just on the rocks because I like chilled alcohol.
There you go. I just like alcohol. I don't care. It could be warm. I would drink it.
It's surely why you're a better man than I am.
Well, I try.
I appreciate it.
So we are going to be, like I said, talking about TV, film, comics. So why don't we start out with a little bit of what we're doing in the TV realm these days?
Okay. Well, seeing as how a lot of the shows are now on their summer break,
Right.
Everything's starting up again in September, we are binge watching.
Exactly. That's what we do over summer. You don't take a break. You just watch more.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look, there are shows I need to catch up on.
Exactly.
You're
yeah.
catching up on Game of Thrones.
Absolutely.
I'm catching up on Arrow.
Okay.
Let's talk about what we're binge watching.
Okay.
Go for it. What are you starting with?
You mentioned I'm watching Game of Thrones. I had not watched any Game of Thrones till probably about 3.5 weeks ago. Obviously, it's all over the interwebs. Everybody talks about it. It's the most torrented show out there right now. But I never watched it. So I decided to give it a try. It's great to watch because it's only 10 episodes a season.
Right.
So you catch up real quick. I'm getting it on DVD from Netflix. I'm going legit with that one. And it's 2 episodes a disc. I get 2 discs at a time. That means in a week and a half, I can watch a season.
You and I may be the only people left in this zip code who still get discs from Netflix.
Right, I know. It's antiquated, but I've been doing it since 2004.
Such a bigger selection, too.
It is. You get a lot more on there. Obviously, you can't sit there and watch 10 episodes in a row because you have to have the discs there. You have to send them back to the next ones. But that gives you a break to switch to some other show. But Game of Thrones. I just started the 4th season, which for those of you that are paying attention at home, you know that that's not on DVD yet. So let that go. But I'm 2 episodes into that. It's great. All the things you hear about online, the red wedding, the purple wedding. I think my favorite character is Tyrion, the half man. He's pretty funny. He seems like one of the only ones that really is trying to do something good. But I love it. I'm going to be kind of upset when I finish season 4 and I have to wait till, what is it, next May, next June when the next season is?
April. Is it usually April?
Okay.
I think this year or the year before, it literally came out on April Fool's Day.
I know. Awesome. I know season 4 comes out on a DVD February 27th. So it would make sense that it's about 5-6 weeks after that.
Right.
So,
which is the way they've been doing it recently is it comes out on Netflix or DVD usually about 3 weeks before the next season comes out.
So it gives you time to binge watch. So that's the big thing that's going on right now. I'm also, no judgment, but I'm binge watching Pretty Little Liars. I am a sucker for that teenage kind of drama. One of my favorite shows of all time is Dawson's Creek. So that'll give you a little bit of information about the things that I gravitate towards.
Do you watch How I Met Your Mother?
I watched every episode of How I Met Your Mother.
So you're caught up on your love of James Van Der Beek.
James Van Der Beek was in How I Met Your Mother?
You're killing me.
What?
He played Robin Sparkle's boyfriend from the episode Sandcastles in the Sand.
Yes. Sorry. That was like season 6. I forgot.
Yeah, he came back for the last episode.
I did not, however, even though I am a James Van Der Beek fan, watch Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23.
I didn't.
I didn't watch it because it wasn't interesting. I just never got around to it.
I watched the first 2 episodes, maybe. I couldn't tell you what they were about, except
Okay.
for it was the exact same joke told differently throughout
Okay.
the whole season, which is how I feel about a lot of other shows. Definitely not what I'm binge watching, though.
Which is
I just finished Bones,
okay.
which that's 9 season long binge.
Yeah, that's a big
But
binge.
That was dedication. I'm pretty sure I slacked off on my job. I ignored duties around the house. I know for a fact when it got too warm, because we don't have air conditioning here, I went to Barnes & Noble and watched a little bit on my little Samsung here. Now I'm doing Arrow.
Which is a fantastic show.
I hope so, because I am
See-
2 episodes in.
Season 1, you can definitely the first like 4 or 5 episodes of season 1, you can definitely tell were written before the full season got ordered.
Okay.
I think they brought in a few new writers after the full season got ordered. So the first couple episodes get kind of rough. It's very villain of the week, but it finishes very strong. And season 2 is infinitely better than season 1.
It's reminding me a lot about Smallville, where it's like you said, villain of the week.
Right.
Smallville had the meteor, du jour.
Right.
The reason I'm catching up on Arrow is Flash. I love Flash. I'm looking forward to the show. I don't care if it is true to the comic or not. I'm looking forward to it. But he debuted in Arrow.
He did.
I've seen those episodes.
Okay, so you've seen some of season 2.
I've seen some of season 2.
Okay.
But it wasn't in a great context for me. I never saw anything else. So now I'm going through, and as I told you, I'm dedicated to finishing those 2 seasons by week 2 of the new season.
Okay.
So come
you,
week
you have
3, I'll
just
be caught
short
up.
of 2 months to get caught up.
Oh, I can caught up
No,
in 1
absolutely.
month.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, Arrow does start out very villain of the week,
Yep.
but about halfway through the season, it starts getting some of those arcs that go for the rest of the season.
Sure.
So you have multiple things going on at once.
Again, like we
good.
saw in the Smallville.
Right, yeah. Towards, 3, 4, you start getting some bigger story arcs.
Yeah, we did.
So-
And then seasons 5, 6, 7, 8, you just go ahead and discount those.
Right.
Come back for 9 and 10. It's going to be a great TV show.
There you go. So, so you finished Bones, you're doing Arrow. Anything else you're watching right now?
I just finished Deadbeat, which is a Hulu exclusive.
Okay, I'm not familiar. What is that one? What's the elevator pitch on that one?
So it's starring, God, I wish I could remember his name. If you've seen Sons of Tucson, it was a lead person from that. Binge watch Sons of Tucson. 1 season, fantastic show. So Deadbeat is essentially, he's a not homeless, but on the verge of. Can't
Okay.
pay rent,
Okay.
can't keep his life together. Drug addict, medium.
Okay.
In every episode, he's trying to help people move on to the next. And eventually, there's another fake medium out there who kind of starts this war with him, and things just kind of escalate. It's a comedy. I don't want to call it a dark comedy because there's not a lot of, obviously for being a medium, there's death, but it's not like a violent death. Usually it's happenstantial things like
Okay.
old age or something.
Right.
It's dark in the way the humor is delivered.
Okay.
I watched episodes 1, 2, and 3 and was not sold on it. And before I knew it, I kept thinking, this show's okay, and this show's okay. Meanwhile, I sat down and watched the entire 10 episodes, season 1's only 10 episodes, in 4 days.
Okay.
So by the end of it, I'm like, well, now what's going to happen in season 2?
So where was the show originally? Was it another like Hulu show or was it on
It is a Hulu
Okay.
show, much like how Netflix has House of Cards, Orange is
Orange
the
is
New Black.
Yeah.
Hulu has a couple as well. They have Rev, which I have not watched but looks hilarious, Deadbeat, and then Seth Meyers' The Awesomes,
Okay.
which is worth it because Rashida Jones is in it. Not worth it because you don't get to see her.
Oh, because it's animated.
It's
voice-
animated.
yeah.
It's the voices.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, is there anything being that we're getting close to fall? You said you're excited for Flash.
I'm excited for Flash.
Is there anything else coming out this fall you're looking forward to?
I want to get excited for Gotham.
Okay.
I've heard some mixed reviews. I don't care. I'm ready for it. We had to talk about Fish Mooney.
Fish Mooney.
Why did you make a character named Fish Mooney to fight like Albacore, the Trout Man?
I think the swordfish is coming to town.
Well, yeah. He's been known to be particular feisty fellow.
Right.
The fact remains, just name her a normal. If you want
Right.
a criminal name, the Marconi crime family goes back in Gotham for generations. Make her one of those.
Yeah, there's 75 years of Batman history. There's some other criminal name you could have
Absolutely.
brought up. I mean, most of those early issues were him just fighting crime bosses and street level thugs.
Well, that's the whole point. Joe
Yeah.
Chill killed his parents, just a crime guy on the street.
Right.
Yeah.
How many times was that retconned?
Well, it was Joe Chill, but originally it wasn't even Joe Chill. But then it was the Joker who later got transformed. You know what?
Right.
Too many times for me to remember.
Yeah.
I don't even think DCNU's addressed it fully yet.
No, as far as I'm aware, currently they have not addressed the murder of the Waynes.
Sure. However, best murder of the Waynes, not to get off topic, Flashpoint by Brian Azzarello. Awesome.
And that was, I know I read it, it was a few years ago.
That's
though.
the one where Bruce was the only one murdered. Thomas and Martha survive.
Right, and Thomas becomes Batman and Martha becomes the Joker.
Yes.
Yes.
It's only 3 issues. Awesome. What about you? What's your upcoming TV?
So I'm looking forward to starting the Flash at episode 1.
Yes.
You've
seen.
I have seen. I will admit that it's very good, but I'm looking forward to watching it again. Arrow's coming back the next night,
Yep.
and CW's doing this weird thing. I don't know if you heard about this. So, Flash premieres on October 7th.
Yeah.
Arrow premieres October 8th, and then they're gonna play the Flash episode from the night before again immediately following, and they're gonna do the same thing the next week. So they're gonna do that 2 weeks in a row.
I may be mistaken. I was under the impression that they were not debuting the Flash. They were doing the Flash episode, but before that, the episode of Arrow when they introduced the Flash, not the season debut of Arrow.
2 weeks ago, as of 2 weeks ago, this may have changed since then, but I read it's Flash series premiere on the 7th, Arrow series premiere on the 8th, followed by a repeat of the Flash season premiere.
Okay.
Just to try to get people that are
Arrow
watching
fans.
Arrow but maybe not super interested in the Flash enough to tune in on a separate night.
That's not that uncommon, though.
No.
HBO does it with Game of Thrones.
Right.
So they'll do Game of Thrones, they'll show something else, and then actually repeat Game of Thrones right away.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've got Flash and Arrow coming up. I watched the pilot of Constantine, and it was decent, but they're changing characters already in the second episode. So they introduced a female lead character in the pilot to kind of be the whole reason that set up for Constantine going and doing what he's going to do. They've already announced that character is no longer in the show, and they're going to bring in somebody from the comics to be the female lead in episode 2.
you told me about this last week. We talked about it when we were having a beer, and I came up with what I think is the reason why. And as you know, I'm never wrong.
We'll see about this. Keep track of this, guys.
Don't keep track of this. So you have Doctor Who, insanely popular British character, always with a female sidekick running around.
The companion, yes.
The companion. We have Constantine, British character with a little female companion running around. Maybe they just don't want to seem like they're just copying Doctor Who for NBC.
But it's still going to be a female that's with him. So the person taking the place of the female lead from the pilot episode is another female.
Do you know who?
It's going to be, I don't read the Constantine comics, but it's going to be a female character that's pulled straight from the comics.
DCNU or pre-DC?
I think it's going to be DCNU.
Okay.
Because I think they're basing all this off of NU. So, so those are my 3 comic shows I'm looking forward to. The other show that I'm really excited about, not comic related at all, well, it sort of has a tie-in now, Sons of Anarchy Season 7. Final season of the show. It's going to go completely crazy. It's like 13 episodes, so it's not even that bad.
I feel like we talked about Sons of Anarchy when we were in Calgary. And
I think it came up.
And weren't you the one who said, after season 4, you're done with it?
No, I love that show.
Okay.
I binge-watched 6 seasons in like 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would get home from work and just watch like 4 episodes at a time.
Okay. So who's left in it from the original cast?
From the original cast, you still have Jax.
Played by?
Charlie Hunnam. You still have Bobby, which is the I can never remember the actor's
That's
name.
okay.
bigger guy with the curly hair.
Yeah.
Chibs is still in there. The Irish guy.
So still a good amount of people from the original cast.
I would say the only people that aren't in there from the original cast still are Ron Perlman's character got killed off last season.
It's fair.
And then Jax's wife got killed off last season.
Now, I do know that they did, Boom Studios produced a comic book about Ron Perlman's character.
It's a full ongoing Sons of
it's an
Anarchy. Yeah, it started out as a mini-series, 6 issues, but at issue 5 they turned it into an ongoing.
Okay.
I think they're up to about issue 13 now.
Yeah, because I know it was released in their Humble Bumble that they just
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Which, congratulations, Boom Studios. That sold epically.
Fantastic.
The other question I want to ask you, you've seen Flash. In the stills, he's wearing skinny leather jeans.
Yeah.
How's it look in the show when he's running?
So
You're not off to a good start here, man.
you're talking about, I'm trying not to give too much away. You're talking about the stills where he's like at the
In
airfield.
the costume, in the airfield, he's...
So the costume he's wearing at the airfield is not the costume that he's wearing
I
at the
apologize. He's not in the airfield because the Flash emblem's on there. He's got the mask on. Red. It looks like you took Daredevil's costume from Ben Affleck.
Okay,
Daredevil.
so you're talking about the images that were released like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of refinement happen to the
Okay,
costume
good.
since then. I think that was kind of a like a prototype to just try to get some initial photography done. But the costume he ends up with at the end of the episode is more true to the look of the Flash. It's not the spandexy molecule, whatever. It's still leather Kevlar.
Sure.
But it looks a lot better than those initial, the preliminary photography.
Because if you remember in the New 52, his suit now is made up of individual, like almost armor pieces that
Right.
fuse together, as opposed
Yeah.
to not just the spandex he used to have.
Yeah, so in the show, it's a one-piece suit, or maybe a two-piece suit. He's got to get in it somehow. But it's got some parts on it that look more like an armor
Okay.
that are reinforced. But it definitely looks a lot better than that principal photography did.
So speaking of, I'm going to transition a little bit off of TV,
Okay.
kind of into comics with Eric Larson.
Okay.
For those of you not familiar with the name Eric Larson, he was one of the pioneers with Image, and he did the Savage Dragon.
Right. For hundreds of issues.
Still going on.
Yeah.
Still going on. In fact, Malcolm Dragon is now the Savage Dragon. The original is dead.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, recently. He was recently pretty vocal on Twitter about the differences between comic book costumes, movie and TV costumes, and very adamantly angry that they're trying to mix the two together. His argument was Christopher Reeves still the best Superman costume for movies because it's classic, you can't beat it. So if you look at comic book art, they have defined lines and chiseled and chests and all that. That's just not realistic that you can do in movies.
No.
How do you feel about the fact that he's saying don't try to make the comic book costume the same as the movie costume or vice versa? Play to your strengths and just do that.
I think you have to take into account things like when the original comic costume was developed versus modern day costuming techniques. You have to look at materials that are available, technology that's available. Obviously, when Batman was first created in 41, what was that? 39.
Yeah, about there.
Detective Comics
Late
27.
30s, early 40s.
Whenever his first costume came out, they didn't have Kevlar.
Sure.
They didn't have a lot of the modern technology we have now. Whereas if you look at like the Christian Bale Batman films, a lot of that was Kevlar reinforced and modern technology. It's going to have a similar look to the comics, but you're never going to have it be the same.
Okay.
But if you also want your comics to be relevant to today, you may want to update those costumes to look like something that a guy going out and fighting crime in 2014 would wear.
Now, this is something we're going to touch on a little bit later when we talk about comic books, is updating comics for current culture.
Right.
But before we get there, let's talk about movies really fast, since Eric Larson did bring up movie costumes. Guardians of the Galaxy was a great movie. Behind us now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not a great movie. Behind us now. Sin City's coming out.
Yes.
Dame to Kill For.
Right.
What's your interest level between I have to see it and I really need to see it? Where are you at?
So I've never read any of Frank Miller's Sin City comics.
Okay.
I know there's a very big cult following behind them.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very good noir story. I've watched the first Sin City movie probably 2-3 times. And it's something that if I'm flipping through the TV and it's on, I'll probably stop and watch it for a bit. I don't own it. I don't seek out to watch it. But it was a decent movie.
Yeah, it was.
I will
good.
probably watch the new one at least once, but I probably won't go to the theater and watch it. And this is a conversation you and I have
This is big for
quite a few times.
Yeah.
I don't go to the theater very often because I know when I go to the theater, every time I go to the theater, I'm paying at least $11 for my ticket and then at least $11 for whoever I go with. So that's $22 plus tax, plus if I want popcorn, plus if I want anything else. Now you have
I do have.
you have something I wish I had, and I wish I could justify the funds for. You have the movie pass.
I have the movie pass. The movie pass is fantastic.
which you pay $30 a month.
Well, with tax, it's like $32.98 a month.
Right. And you get to see as many movies as you want.
No, there's a caveat. It's only once every 24 hours.
Okay, so theoretically, you could watch 30 movies, or 31, or 28, depending on the month.
Leap year was 29.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay.
For one flat fee.
For one flat fee.
So if you go to see a movie that you are moderately interested in,
Like
it
Teenage
doesn't.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I said moderately. That's not.
Yeah, that was so...
It doesn't cost you anything extra.
No, but I did do the right thing for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Bought a ticket to a different movie and just walked into that theater. Michael Bay, I gave you money for Transformers 4, and I've learned that lesson. Never again. So yeah, I had the movie pass. So generally Friday nights is our movie night. We go to a movie on Friday nights, and unlike you, I want that experience. I want a big, huge thing of horrible for me popcorn. I want Skittles. I don't want soda though.
To be clear, I love that experience.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's an expense that it's harder for me to justify. It's an expense you have regardless if you go to a movie or not.
Yeah.
So for me, it's an added expense.
What if I got you a movie pass though?
If you got me a movie
I'm
pass,
not going to pay for it. I'm just going to get you in.
yeah. So I mean, that's one of the things. It's the movies I do go see in the theater. It's a much more calculated decision for
Sure.
me. I love going to the Cinebar when I go to see movies.
Oh, the Cinebar is the greatest thing in the world.
There's nothing like drinking while you go to the movies.
Or having a pizza, a burger.
Yes, all those things are
Yeah.
great. But it's like I said, it's not an expense.
Okay.
So
But you have more of a love for TV than movies.
I
anyways.
am all about the TV.
I know you are. Okay, so Dame to Kill 4.
So I will see it probably once it's out on home video.
What is you getting a VHS tape? Home video?
I got my Betamax hooked up.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
No, I say home video because it's DVD or Blu-ray or ultraviolet or whatever the
Oh,
hell
I
they call
thought it
these
sounded
things now.
better than torrent.
Well, yeah, there's that too. When I download it and burn it to a DVD at home and transfer it onto my Xbox, I will watch
there
it.
you go.
No, that's how I do most of my stuff. I wait for it to come out into the home market, and I either get it off Netflix or Redbox occasionally. Something
Well, like we
that.
discussed, Netflix on disc, though.
Right.
It's a great option still.
Yeah.
So next week I will discuss Sin City, A Dame to Kill For.
Okay.
Totally looking forward to it. It's going to be hopefully great. We saw the first Sin City, which was Roberto Rodriguez and Frank Miller.
Right.
We saw Frank Miller alone with The Spirit. Not as great.
No.
It's pretty rough to get through. I own it because it was given to me.
Fair enough.
Actually, I still think that's sealed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But it's going to be the both of them again for Sin City 2, Dame to Kill For.
Right. Well, like I said, I enjoyed Sin City 1. So if they come together and they do the same thing, the cinematography in that movie was amazing.
So nice.
You get the scenes where it's all black and white except for the yellow face or something like that.
Or the splash of red blood.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That's something you hadn't really seen a lot. You've seen it more now. I think they did some of that in The Spirit too.
Yeah, they did a lot of that in The Spirit.
So, and that motif is pulled straight out of the SimCity comics. I have flipped through them. That's what he did. A lot of them
Absolutely.
were, it was the black and white with the single color in there. So that was good.
Even he did Dark Knight Returns.
Yep.
Which is a full color book, but a lot of muted colors.
Right.
There's not a lot of big vibrant until you see the punch of blood coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Which now is going to lead us to the next portion, comic books.
which is my favorite portion.
Let's first go ahead and take a quick drink because you haven't had one yet.
I've had a sip here or there.
Yeah,
but-
see, I know you're parched. And there you go. Let's start with the first book you've read this week. What do you got?
So I had a very small week this week. Unlike you seem to have a much larger stack of books over there.
This is a light week for me.
I had 3 books in my pull box.
But yeah, that's right. You do digital comics.
Yeah, I've been making a big transition towards digital lately because I have my choice. I can go buy 30 comics and carry it around in a stack like that, or I can buy 30 comics and keep it on my tablet, which is much easier to take with me. I can slip it in the door jamb in my truck, and I can drive to work and pull it right out. It's there. I don't have to carry it around. But in my pull box this week, as far as paper comics, I had Green Lantern New Guardians 34, Supergirl 34, and Magneto number 8.
Okay.
You'll see that that's 2 DC versus 1 Marvel. Magneto is actually the only thing I read from Marvel right now. I have a few books I read from DC. A lot of the things I'm reading these days tend to be from more of the independents, the Images, the Boom, Avatar, that sort of thing.
So a little bit about our reading preferences, I guess, before we get into the books themselves. You mentioned you're doing indie. You used to be a pretty heavy DC guy.
Yeah, so here's the general overview of my comics experience. When I first started reading comics, it was all X titles. I was buying everything Marvel put out with an X at the beginning or the end of it.
I still do that.
Yes, you do that still.
Even Deadpool vs. X-Force.
I saw that. I was going to make fun of you for that at some point.
Okay.
But so I started out all X, and that's because I got really into the X-Men cartoon series of the early 90s. That was kind of my gateway drug, and then I started seeing comics on the magazine rack at the local grocery store. So I started having the parents buy those for me. That was probably a good 7 or 8 years of just that, and then I started picking up some of these DC books, and I'm like, oh, these are cool. Who's this Green Lantern? I know about Superman, but what are the comics?
Sure.
So then I transitioned 100% to DC. I was getting almost every book DC put out for a while. And then I actually fell out of comics for about 3 years. And then I came back in right around New 52 and started picking up a couple titles that I was familiar with. And then I started hearing about some of these other indie books. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good book. Like one of the first indie books I started with was 100 Bullets.
Not an indie book. Vertigo's owned by who?
Vertigo is owned by DC.
There you go.
But at that time, Vertigo was considered an indie title.
That's true. And for those of you who are keeping track of this kind of stuff at home, Vertigo books have now been incorporated into the DC universe.
The Vertigo universe is gone. With New 52, all the Vertigo and former Wildstorm characters got put into DC. So I read.
Sorry to interrupt you.
I read 100 Bullets. I also
100
read Why the Last Man, which is another Vertigo book, but
by Brian K. Vaughan.
Yes, Brian K. Vaughan. So that got me starting to look around some other things, and now a lot of the things I lean towards tend to be the independents. One of my favorite books right now is Alex and Ada, which is an Image book, which I don't know how much longer we can call Image an independent publisher.
I don't think we can anymore. Them or Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, yes. Dark Horse is a number 3 publisher right now, and Image is number 4.
There you go.
But it's still considered Image indie because a lot of it is more of creator-owned properties.
I think Image's majority now creator-owned.
Yeah. Dark Horse it's a fair mix between IP properties and creator-owned. But
it's very true.
Yeah.
They're losing a lot of their properties.
They are.
Especially with Star Wars now going
back to Marvel.
Back to Marvel. Because the big mouse boss is pulling it back.
Yes. With all 4 of his fingers.
You're into indie. You've gotten me to read a couple indie books recently.
I
Alex
try.
and Ada that you mentioned, one of them.
Yes.
I like it. I like where it's going. Looking forward to continuing reading it. Another one that you've been reading that I messaged you about, trying to maybe be like, I got an indie book he doesn't read. I was wrong. He reads it. Letter 44.
Letter 44 is amazing. Charles Soule, who's blowing up in every publisher right now.
He's everywhere.
I think he's at 5 different publishers right now. Because he's got Letter 44. They just announced he's doing a new project at DC. I don't remember what it is.
He has. I even read one of his Marvel books.
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying it, and it is slipping my mind which one it is. But Charles, I
is
like
he doing
it.
Inhuman?
Yes, thank you. Because
Yeah.
Matt Fraction didn't do it. Instead, Charles Soule took
Right.
over.
So he's big right now, but Letter 44, great. There's not an issue this week, otherwise I'll talk about it, but we can wait till.
No, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So
You don't have any books in front of you, though. Let's talk about what you have in front of you.
So in front of me, first thing I have is Green Lantern New Guardians. One of my favorites, probably my favorite superhero for the last 10 years has been Green Lantern, specifically Hal Jordan.
Is that?
And I know this is something you and I disagree with on a base level.
I was trying not to interrupt you, let you get through your book, and you had to say the words. You know what? Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So-
slightly sit over here. Yep.
As a huge Hal Jordan fan, it's very hard for me to read this book because right now it's very centric on Kyle Rayner, who is one of my least favorite of the Earth Lanterns.
So, the book that's supposed to be about just Kyle Rayner is too much Kyle Rayner for you.
Yes. Well, to be fair,
go ahead.
the book was not originally supposed to be about just Kyle Rayner, and I think that's my big problem with it. It started out as having one person from each of the Lantern Corps. For those of you who don't know, the Green Lanterns were the intergalactic peacekeepers, essentially, powered by the color green, which represents willpower. A few years ago, Jeff Johns expanded the emotional spectrum. So now there's multiple colors, each with their own group of people that are powered by that emotion.
One for every color of the rainbow,
And then
plus white and black.
Yes, life and death. So this book started out having one person from each color core in it. There was kind of sort of a mission they were supposed to be doing. It is now kind of just evolved to being just Kyle Rayner and Carol Ferris.
I'm going to argue with you here really fast. Because I say the idea of the book is still there. Because he controls every color. So there's still one member of every corps there. It's just all Kyle.
Yes, he controls one of every color, which is my biggest problem with Kyle Rayner is anytime they need somebody to just have a lot of power, they say, hey, what's Kyle Rayner up to today?
Damn right. There's
Yeah.
a reason he's called Ion. There's a reason he's called the Birth Giver.
Yes. So, I don't know, it's Justin Jordan writing this book, and I'm not personally invested in this story at all. I don't find, when I get this book, I'm not like, oh, I really need to read that book. It typically is at the bottom of my stack. So I may be dropping this book. I've bought 34 issues of it now, and I am a completionist. So when I have more than 3 issues of a book, it's hard for me to drop. But I have 34 issues of this, so it may be going away. It may be going on eBay.
Oh, hold on. Okay. I know how hard it is for you to stop buying a Green Lantern title. Because you are like me. Once I start, I cannot stop. I have books I know I've bought for 2 years now. I've never read an issue. But I'll be damned if I'm going to stop my collection now. But to sell them?
Well, here's my thing. If I have 34 issues of this on my shelf and I stop buying it, I'm going to look at that every day and be like, there's 3 issues of that I don't have yet.
Yeah.
And it's just going to force me to buy a book that I'm not going to read.
And you know what? Warner Brothers thanks you for that.
But not all of us have a full comic room at home that we can just add books to.
To be fair, those are the 2 of us that have a full comic room. It's getting kind of full.
Right, so you may start thinking about, hey, maybe I should get some of these books out of here.
No, we have a guest bedroom that can become the second wing of the
The
comic
wife
book
will
room.
love that.
I'm sure she'll be
She
fine with
just got done decorating the guest bedroom.
it. To be fair, she's still in the middle of decorating the
Okay.
guest bedroom.
Well, she's going to be in the middle of decorating it forever.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right. That's right.
So yeah, I mean that was my book. So I guess I didn't really actually talk about the book at all.
Tell me about the book.
So they are trying to. There was a. To be fair, there is New Guardians. They unlocked from a vault a bunch of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they are playing it, being Guardians now. They found one of them who got enslaved by some race who is a combination of organic and inorganic, which kind of just reminds me of like Phalanx from Marvel, sort of.
Sure.
They've got tubes in his mouth, kind of controlling whatever, and they're trying to free him from these creatures. The writing was not great. The dialogue was terrible. The art, actually, I appreciate the art in this. That's one of the things I will say about this book. Whoever's doing art, it looks like Walker, something Walker.
Which is funny because the first book I'm
Brad
talking
Walker.
about.
Brad Walker art.
There you go. So we concur. Brad Walker's a good artist. That's the only redeeming factor of this book to me. I don't really want Carol Ferris and Kyle Rayner to be a couple. I think it's crap. Carol Ferris and Hal Jordan for decades have been together or close to together.
So essentially, she's kind of robbing the cradle.
She
'Cause
is.
age-wise, he's about.
He's supposed to be about 21, 22, I think.
See, it's hard because DCNU, he was before DCNU, he was about 24 when he took the ring.
Right.
But he was the only Lantern for about 10 years. But as you know, comic book characters don't age the same.
No.
Because Bruce Wayne's aged 2 years and Dick Grayson's aged 20.
Right.
So, but no, Carol went from being Hal's love interest to now Kyle's love
Yeah.
interest.
I will say Carol's mid to late 30s.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. So she's going for somebody at least a decade or younger. But I don't like it. I mean, all of a sudden, with no real backstory, all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, Kyle, I'm in love with you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So-
that's very true.
So that's a huge issue I have with this. But like I said, I'm not into the story. So I may be cutting a Green Lantern book from my pull. And as a huge Green Lantern fan, that is hard for me. I told you earlier, I am so much Green Lantern fan that I was buying Larfleeze when it was coming out as its own.
Orange Lantern.
The Orange Lantern. I was
Which-
buying that, which for a few issues was actually kind of funny.
And damn, did they give him a sad backstory with his family
Yeah.
being killed and stuff? Ugh.
So
Took the fun out of that.
yeah, that was one book I read this week. And I might give it one more issue.
The first book I was talking about is Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers. Amazing.
Okay.
Freaking amazing. I'm not huge into Hickman. His regular Avengers book is okay.
See, and I'm a big fan of Hickman's, again, independent work. If you read things like the Nightly News
God
or
is
Pax
Dead.
Romana, the first 5 issues of God is Dead.
I only read the first 5 anyways. So.
So he was head writer for the first 6. It was originally supposed to be a 6-issue miniseries.
Right, and then
at issue 5, they said, "Oh no, it's going to be an ongoing." And Matt Costa, who has been co-writing, is going to take
Matt
over.
or Mike?
Mike.
Okay.
Mike Costa.
Because Mike Costa did G.I. Joe Cobra, which was awesome. So, New Avengers. For those of you who are not familiar, the Illuminati in Marvel is back.
Okay.
They
Who's part of the Illuminati now? Because isn't like 3 of their members dead?
no, just Charles Xavier is dead.
Well, okay.
So we have Black Bolt, King of the Inhumans.
He really speaks up a lot during those meetings.
He is a talkative man. You have Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards.
Okay.
The Black Panther, T'Challa.
Okay.
You have, obviously, Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Right?
You have Beast, Henry McCoy, taking over for Charles Xavier.
Well, hey, if anybody's going to take over for the Brain, might as well be Beast.
And you have them bringing
Is-
in, recently,
Is
Bruce
Doctor
Banner.
Strange still in here?
And Doctor Strange is going to be my last
Okay.
one.
Okay.
And then they recently brought in Bruce Banner.
Now,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. If I remember right, Bruce Banner / Hulk is the intelligent Hulk again?
He's not the intelligent Hulk. He's just not completely stupid Hulk.
Okay.
He's about my
He's
intelligence.
blue collar Hulk.
He's blue collar Hulk. A couple nice. In fact, there's a panel because they decided the world is about to end, where it is just Bruce Banner drinking a beer with the essence of the Hulk behind him.
Okay, that's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole point of New Avengers is we find out, as you know, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different universes all parallel to each other.
Yeah, I read Exiles. I get it.
Okay, you read Exiles. So the time stream has been, I'm going to try to keep this without dropping any curses, messed up so much that things are just hitting the fan.
Okay.
Universes are literally colliding together. Earths are literally colliding and
Okay.
destroying. So they find out this is happening, and it's going to happen to their Earth. And they have to do something to figure this out. Captain America was one of the first in the Illuminati. He busted out the Infinity Gauntlet. For those of you who are watching the movies and not reading the comics, the little stones that they're talking about.
Right.
He uses the Infinity Gauntlet and stops the first incursion, but destroys the gauntlet. It's too powerful for him. And then he goes on not being able to do what it really needs to take to save the world. So Doctor Strange wipes his mind and Captain America is booted off the Illuminati. So now they're dealing with all these incursions, and how the other worlds are dealing with them. And it gets to the point where they have no other alternative but to destroy the other Earth before it hits our Earth and makes contact.
Okay.
And as the bomb, Reed Richards plants the bomb, he pulls up the detonation device, and he can't bring himself to do it.
Conscience. Okay.
T'Challa, the Black Panther, picks it up. No. Not happening. Beast refuses to even touch it.
But he probably invented it.
Even he had a hand in it.
Yeah.
Tony Stark is just not going to deal with it at all. So who just picks it up and hits that button? No worries. Needs to be done. Freaking Namor.
Well, go
Just
figure. Yeah.
Not a care in the world. My world, not yours. Destroys the other universe so ours can live. Now, that was the last issue, issue 22. In issue 22, we also find out, some of you may remember, AVX, Namor was one of the Phoenix Five. He got part of the Phoenix Power, destroyed Wakanda. When Thanos came to Earth recently, he kind of outed Wakanda on the side, sent Thanos there with his troops, destroying Wakanda, because Namor's got it out for the Black Panther.
Okay.
In issue 22, Namor comes clean about everything.
Oh.
And he's like, you know what, T'Challa, a big to you, and I did what none of you will do, because Namor's kind of hardcore that way.
Right.
He's not good, he's not bad, he's in it for him.
Yes.
So this issue 23, something you may not be aware is the Avengers are all wrapping up. The titles are all ending because the new Avengers is now going to come out soon. Hickman's done finishing up his runs.
Okay.
So it's starting to close up. This issue,
so we can get all new number ones?
So we can get all new number ones with a female Thor and Captain Falcon. Or is it Falcon America? Well, they'll figure out the name.
Bald Eagle?
The Bald Eagle.
Yeah.
So this is all everyone in the Illuminati finding out there's another incursion happening in 6 hours.
Oh.
And there's no way we can stop it because we're not willing to destroy another world. So everyone goes and kind of makes peace with their life. So you have Bruce Banner who gets a beer and goes out to the location where he was created to kind of wait it out.
Okay.
You have Beast who goes talks to Young Beast that he brought through here, and Young Beast pretty much calls him out. The quote was, "Do you remember exactly when it was you completely lost your way?"
Oh. Well.
You have Tony Stark who lines up a bar of shots. You have Stephen Strange talking to his apprentice, asking, "Am I a good man?" And Wong replying, "No."
Oh.
Previously, Stephen Strange sold his soul to destroy one of the other universes. So things are getting gruesome. T'Challa goes to talk to his ex-wife Storm, who the High Priest of Wakanda annulled their marriage.
Right.
The High Priest of Wakanda being the Black Panther, he annulled his own marriage.
Well, that's convenient.
It was pretty hardcore when he did it.
Yeah.
You have Reed Richards going to Castle Doom to see his daughter, who lives with Dr. Doom now.
Okay, that's... Oh, what's the daughter's name? It's Franklin
Valerie.
and Val. Yeah.
And in fact, she's aware of the incursions.
Okay.
He fills her in because she's smarter than he is.
Right.
And you have all that. Black Bolt just screams at the top of his lungs as he finally can. And what happens come the incursion? Nothing.
Nothing.
So why? Why does nothing happen? They get together approximately, 10 minutes after the incursion was supposed to happen, and nothing happens. Black Bolt points out somebody's missing from the Illuminati meeting. Namor. Namor's not at the Illuminati meeting.
Oh.
He's formed a new Illuminati who's handled this problem. Headed by Thanos, Terrax, the rest of the Thanos cabal, Black Swan, and Maximus, Black Bolt's brother. So they went to the other world and just killed it.
Oh, geez.
You know why? Because we got to survive. Our universe needs to survive. So Namor is doing what he needs to be done in an epic fashion.
Wow.
And it's good.
So when they're getting to this point where you're seeing the other Earths coming close, do they tell you what Earth it is?
They do.
Okay. Is it ones that we're familiar with?
It is not.
Okay. So it may have been in some random issue of Exiles or something like that.
It is random,
but it's not.
No.
It's not 2099. It's not.
No. There's no.
Okay.
Yeah, because our Earth is Earth 616.
Right.
It's no other Earths that we're familiar with.
Okay.
And some of the others have heroes that are trying to stop our heroes. Other things have been happening. Essentially, though, it is hitting the fan.
Okay.
Hickman's getting ready to end his run, and he's doing so in a phenomenal fashion.
Okay. So we can look forward to all new issue number ones in the next few months.
You can look forward to it.
Well,
I will not be reading them.
as I said, I only read Magneto, so I probably won't look forward to it.
So here's the thing. I love Marvel, and I've been dedicated Marvel follower for a lot of years. I will never drop the X books. I'm kind of... As you move to the independents, I'm moving back to my one true love, DC.
Okay.
I loved DC for so many years. As you know, I have some DC tattoos.
Right.
And DCNU came about. It's not that I didn't like DCNU. It's not that I didn't like that they tried something new. It's the stories they were providing weren't great. They weren't thought out. They were changing the single issue. Like what was being published in the trade was different word bubbles that were in the single issue. They were just...
So are you referencing the Titans?
It was not just Teen Titans.
Okay.
That's the most popular sized one.
Right.
But it wasn't just Teen Titans. They did this huge change in a fashion, rushed, chaotic, and it didn't turn out well for them. So I went to DC. I left DC and I went to Marvel. And DC's kind of gotten their act straighter.
In 3 years, I would hope so.
They haven't worked out all the bugs. Justin Jordan, like you mentioned, is writing New Guardians. He wrote Shadow Man beforehand. It wasn't a great book, but it wasn't a bad book. His Shadow Man is better than his New Guardians. But Marvel's getting to the point now where they're trying to do a couple things, and it's just not working out for them.
Okay.
And this is the things we talked about earlier, because before we had vodka, we had beer.
Right. Yes.
And we talked about...
Are we going to be sick later? Isn't that the saying? Beer before liquor, never sicker?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think we only had 2 beers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we'll be fine. So, pandering. Marvel is pandering like no one's business. We have a new Captain America,
Right.
which we get a new Captain America every couple of years.
Right, yeah, you got to recycle.
It's time for a new Captain America. We have a female Thor. Here's what I don't get about a female Thor. It's his freaking name. I got no problem with a woman carrying Mjolnir. I got no problem with a woman taking his place. But why are we creating a new character taking his name? When he became king, he doesn't become Odin.
Right.
His name is Thor.
Yeah. It's like, my name's Jay. If I took over somebody else's job, I wouldn't take on their name.
No,
I would just
you would just be you with their hammer.
Right.
Now, the premise is Thor is no longer worthy. He now is losing an arm, which we knew he was going to lose an arm because we see in the future, and he has a metallic arm. No big deal. But why does she have his name?
Right.
And Falcon's your choice for Captain America? Dude has no superpowers besides talking to birds. Which, as I recall, I know every state has a bird. What's he going to do? Call on all 50 at once?
Right.
Come on. Even Aquaman got super strength and is a
Right.
badass.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, yeah.
Aquaman cut off his own arm to try to go save his son. What's Falcon going to do? Ask for a crow to come hang out?
Right.
Please. So, obviously, that's not their only pandering. I feel Ms. Marvel's very much pandering.
Right. And we talked about this earlier. I feel like it's not only pandering, but it's a copy of DC's pandering.
DC did pander with Baz.
Yeah.
And then Marvel pandered with Ms. Marvel. And it's the worst kind of pandering. You're trying not to be sexist or racist by being sexist and racist.
Right.
What is more racist and sexist by saying... That's like me saying, I won't read a book because it's not written by a chubby Mexican for a chubby Mexican about a chubby Mexican. You know what? I don't look like any of the new Avengers.
No.
Not like any of them. I don't look like any of the female characters. I don't look like Supergirl for damn sure. But you know what? I read these books. You know why? Because I like the stories in it. Not because it has to be for me, by people for me.
Right.
The opposite of racism and sexism is including no matter what it is.
Right. Don't make a character black just to have a black character.
Thank you.
And especially don't take a character that's been around like Captain America for, he's been around since the 40s?
Yeah, he was created as Nazi propaganda.
Yeah. So he's been around for 70 plus years. Don't make him black just to have a black character. If you're so like, we should have more ethnicity, come up with a new black character. Give him a whole backstory on its own.
That has been my common argument. Not only do I feel like it's pandering, and please, I hope this doesn't sound racist, and I have no tactfulness, so I do apologize now. it is more racist to say, you know what, to make you happy, we're just going to... It'd be like me replacing Jay with a black guy, and I just calling him Jay in the same glasses and the same shirt. How about we just know him for who he is, not as some B-list replacement?
Right. Obviously, and to be fair, no matter what DC or Marvel or whoever does, somebody's going to get upset about it.
Absolutely.
There's no way around that.
Sure.
To be fair, if I introduced a new Hispanic character, somebody would be like, oh, he's only Hispanic because they only have one other Hispanic guy named Vibe.
Vibe was Hispanic?
Yeah, right?
Well, that's racist.
But, I mean, yeah, there's better ways to do it than just simply be like, hey, we're going to make Thor a woman, and hey, we're going to make Miss Marvel Muslim. There's probably better ways to go about it. And the worst thing to do is to go, when you change Thor to be a female character, don't go on a show like The View with a predominantly female audience and say, hey guys, we're going to make a female superhero for you. That's the worst thing you could do. Just let it happen. Let the readers discover it. Don't make a press release out of it.
What made that even worse was that the press release was wrong. It says it was the only female in history to carry Mjolnir. That is wrong.
As a non-Thor fan, who else is carried?
Wonder Woman for start. Wonder Woman's rocked Mjolnir.
Oh, because in the amalgam stuff. That's
but
right,
even
yeah.
pre-amalgam, she picked it up in the war. Storm's rocked it out, and I'm pretty sure Sith has carried it. Here's the question. Who better to replace Thor than his wife, who is taken over as another guardian and protector? Give her Mjolnir.
Right.
But no, instead, we take Thor, we make an exact replica as a female with the exact same name to pander.
Right. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and all.
Well, what was your second book, Jay?
So the other books I read, really, to be fair, I wasn't really excited about any of the books I read this week.
Wow, that's low.
I just feel like it was a poor week for writing. I do have two other books that I picked up digitally that I have not read yet. That being, I did pick up Multiversity, which you and I have talked about. I'm not excited for it, but I thought I'd give it a chance. I also picked up the book I can't remember the name of. Brubaker's new book.
Brubaker.
Which
we did this literally in the car.
Yeah, we were going back for it. It is The Fade Out.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to read The Fade Out. It's Brubaker doing a noir book, which is, I know you really liked his run on
Captain America and Winter Soldier. Yeah.
But I think his wheelhouse is noir.
Absolutely. Spy, noir, that's where Brubaker lives.
Yeah, you had him. He just wrapped up Fatale. He did Powers. No, he didn't do Powers. That was Omi.
Needless to say, though, this is his first title with his Image contract.
Yeah, so him and Sean Phillips signed a contract with Image a few months ago where it's a 5-year contract. Anything they come up with, Image has to publish. They have carte blanche on whatever they want.
Sure.
That's unheard of in the comics industry where everything has to be run through 2 or 3 editors, and it usually takes a year, 2 years.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is the first thing that they've done from that contract. It's Fade Out. I haven't read it yet. It's what I'm going to be reading as soon as we're done here. So I'll probably actually talk about it next week, even though I bought it today. But as far as the other things that I did read, I read Magneto. This book started out really strong.
Yes, it did.
Cullen Bunn was the writer. Cullen Bunn, most known for The Sixth Gun. That's his creator-owned thing that's just blowing up all over. They're making a role-playing game out of The Sixth Gun now.
Yeah,
I read that
crazy.
Today. But he's been doing villain-centric books lately. He's doing Sinestro over at DC. He's got Magneto here at Marvel. The first few issues of this were really good. You got this very good look into exactly what it's like to be Magneto. It touched on things that he was doing. For instance, he walked into like a train station, and the artist highlighted every little thing that was made of metal in the train station, from security guards' badges to pen holders to
everything,
literally
like
everything.
tokens, like everything was covered.
So everything he could use as a weapon. So it was really good detail on what it's like to be Magneto, and there was flashbacks to how he got to be the way he was. So back in the Nazi prison camps and things like that, his friend getting killed for saying who he was with when he stole bread and things like that. It seems like they're moving more now into trying to bring him in line with the upcoming Axis event.
Right.
And this is one of my big problems. I have a huge problem with event comics,
Which is, why another thing that's bothering me about Marvel. It has been nonstop events.
Yeah, we were talking about this
I'm sorry,
earlier.
but yeah, I didn't interrupt you,
It
but-
was Secret Invasion to Fear Itself to we've got
Age of Heroes after Fear Itself, and the Age of
Age of
Heroes,
Ultron.
AVX, and Age of Ultron, and now we had, what did we just have after Age of Ultron? We had Original Sin.
Original Sin's
Sin
going
is
on now.
going right to Access.
Yeah, so it's literally one giant publisher event to another, and it seems like they're bringing Magneto in line for that because
Absolutely.
they've talked that Magneto is going to be involved in Access. I think I even read that it's going to kick off in Magneto. I could be wrong about that, but it's definitely going to play an integral part, and it seems like they're moving the tone of this book to try to make it appeal to more readers to get them on board with the Access thing.
So it started out, the way I saw it is, he was the mutant version of Punisher.
Right.
He was going out, he was going to right some wrongs, vigilante style. He
Yeah.
left the Charles Xavier School for the Gifted Youngsters, which was run by Cyclops out of the Weapon X facility in Canada. And he decided, I'm going to go vigilante style, and I'm going to go get some justice.
Yeah, so he was tracking down people who had done wrong to mutants.
Absolutely.
The first issue, there's a very graphic scene where he finds somebody who did do wrong to mutants, and you see the guy in the street impaled by street signs. Very graphic.
But it was awesome.
It was awesome. It showed you that he meant business. He wasn't trying to take over the world. He wasn't trying to make mutants dominant. He was just trying to get justice, or vengeance rather,
It was
for
definitely
what he
vengeance.
thought had been done to his people.
But it is becoming him just being a ancillary supervillain.
Yeah. So he's going through. He's still technically killing people who've done wrong to mutants, but there's less of a reason for it now. So it's not. I'm hoping once this Access event is over, I don't know how long that's supposed to last, but
Forever.
forever. Yeah. I'm hoping once that's done, eternity from now, that it gets back to actually focusing on Magneto, what makes him who he is, and what his real motivations were, because that's what was interesting to me.
That was very interesting. I agree. I'm worried that after Access, that's not what it's going to get back to.
I'm also worried about
because
that.
Access pivots the villains versus the heroes and who's in between, and he's falling on the villain sides. As they release their promo images, it's clear, and as they release the promos like the solicitations, it's clear he's on the villain side.
Okay. Is that something they're referencing, the axis of evil in his Nazi history?
I don't-
Or his history with Nazis, rather?
I hope not.
I hope not, too, because I would hate for them to go propaganda like that.
Not to say that DC's not doing events. They're currently doing events a little differently, and they're doing the weekly events. Batman Eternal, one of my other books, Future's End, and starting up soon, the Superman title. So far unnamed, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. I'm event exhausted. That's another reason that I'm loving indies right now, is because you don't have an entire universe of characters to try to cooperate into these events. But DC's doing, like you said, they're doing their Batman Eternal,
Future's
End.
And the Superman, undisclosed name Superman.
There's going to be Superman. But then they're also doing a lot of events within families. So in DC, they call things family. You have the Superman family of books. You have the Batman family. You have the Green Lantern family. You have the Justice League family. So they tend to keep a lot of their events within those. That's why another book I read this week, Supergirl, I was sort of lost because it's tying into a Superman family Doomed event, which I'm not reading anything other than Supergirl.
Yep.
So, but I mean, Magneto, it's not bad. I don't want to say that it's bad. It's definitely a different tone than when the book started.
And there are a couple titles I picked up that do publish regularly from Marvel and DC, but live in their own universe. This week's primarily Cyclops and Daredevil.
Okay.
Both of the books live in their own universe. They're not really crossing over. They're not really talked about. They live in them. Obviously, when Superior Iron Man comes out, Daredevil's making an appearance because they're both in San Francisco. But it's not, you don't have to buy one issue to get the other issue.
Right.
Same with Cyclops. And like you said, I'm appreciating that. I need the break from it.
Right.
I have found that DC, I will say, is writing for the trade.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to writing for the trade necessarily. It makes a business sense because people are buying in the trade. people aren't doing what they used to do, where years ago is you'd go to your comic store on Wednesday, New Comic Day, buy your comic, read it, love it, and then you were cool with it. You didn't need to buy the next one to make this larger epic story.
Right.
As the epic stories come out, they're great for trades because I can buy one omnibus of Age of Ultron, and there it is. I'm done. I read the whole thing, as opposed to issue to issue to issue.
Now, here's the debate.
Okay.
So you buy omnibuses? Do you buy trades? Do you buy a lot of collected editions?
Yes.
Okay. I refuse to buy collected editions.
I know you do.
It's gotten to the point where so I'm reading Morning Glories. That's another book I'm getting caught up on. It's an Image book. It's about
You and Pretty Little Liars.
right. Except Morning Glories, not really in the same.
No, I know.
Morning Glories is like Lost set in a private school.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like 37, 38 issues out right now. I just recently started reading it. I am buying the individual digital titles as opposed to even the digital trades, which I would save about $2 a trade buying it that way as opposed to individual titles.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that because the first issue I read was a free single issue.
And that's what got me into Alex and Ada.
As soon as I got that one single issue, it's like, well, I can't buy trades now because I'm not going to pay again for this issue I already have,
Yep.
and I already have a single issue, so I'm just going to buy all the single issues. So
Now, there's a couple things about the reason I'm buying the trades, and we'll make this the last one because I feel like we're going really long.
yeah.
So, money. It boils down to money. As much as I love, there's something cathartic for me to go to the comic store on Wednesday,
Right.
buy my comics, take them home, bag them, board them, put them in my online database, put them in their white box when I'm done reading it. Something cathartic for that for me. And I've been doing that for Nightwing and Green Lantern and since, God, I want to say, since Nightwing Era was ever published. I own every single issue.
What was that, 80?
No, Nightwing was in the mid-90s. I picked up Green Lantern starting issue 51.
Okay.
And I have all those single issue, and I'll never stop getting those single issue. But trades are a price point for me. Like, I love Superman. I wear a Legion of Superhero ring because of Superman. You know, I do these things, but I get it in hardback trade, just for the money. For those of you who want to skirt the system, word of advice, go to barnesandnoble.com, sign up for membership. It is $20 for a year membership. You get free 2-day shipping. When trades come out on barnesandnoble.com, they're already 30% off cover price. And then they send you a weekly coupon that's another 20% off on top of that, which now makes this $25 trade hardback $13.
Okay.
You cannot argue that price.
I cannot argue that price if I was willing to wait for a trade. That's the other thing is, if you're doing single issues, you get the monthly gratification as opposed to waiting 6 to 7 months. 6 months for the 6 issues to come out, and then another month for them to bind the trade.
No, that's a really good point. Like, trades are literally coming out a month after those issues are done compiling.
Yeah, which is nice. A few years ago, you had to wait, 6 to 12 months.
Oh, that was horrible.
Because there wasn't the market. Now there's the market because you've got things like Barnes Noble. You've got things like Amazon. People go on Amazon buy the trade.
All the time. eBay has them now for great prices. But as you can see, like, I have my list of single issues I still get.
Right.
Because these are the books where I do not have the patience. I gotta read them. But there are those books where I do have the patience. And Superman, as much as I love Superman, the reason I do that in trade is what you said, crossover. There is a hell of a lot of crossovers. And I mean that as in the hell on earth crossover.
Right, which, yeah. So here, being that I don't read trades, let me ask you this. If I was to go buy the trade for the Hell on Earth storyline, it took place in more than just Superman. Does it collect all the different ones?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You buy the Hell on Earth trade paperback, it's all of those
it's got
together.
the Superman, the Action, and the Supergirl all in there.
It has it all in there.
Okay.
So you get
that's one positive, I would say.
That is why, especially for Superman, I buy Supergirl, I read it, I actually give it to a friend of mine. That is her birthday gift.
Okay.
Every year, I buy her Green Lantern, Justice League and Supergirl. Every month, I mail her those issues. So I don't collect it.
Okay.
I love Superboy, but it was real rough, so I don't read it anymore. But at least this way, I get that whole collected trade, because all those tie-ins, I don't buy those titles necessarily, but at least I can buy the trade and get everything I need.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So,
I'll probably stick with my single issues because that's what I've done for 12 years.
sure.
But I think I have 5 trades on my shelf out of 12 years. So,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, I've let you. How was it reading Uber? You read Uber as a trade
So here's the thing about Uber. It threw me off
because the zero issue.
because they released a 0 issue later on, but it got put into the first trade.
It was really confusing.
And the 0 issue made no sense unless you had read. And here's the thing: a 0 issue is supposed to be a thing they throw out there for people who haven't read the book to get into it.
And it definitely did not.
If I picked up that 0 issue off the shelf, I would never have read that book.
No, I agree. So Uber was a bad example. And as soon as I said Uber, I'm like, oh, no, 0 issue.
But I mean, so I read the first issue or first trade is Scalped.
Okay, there you go.
Because there was 50 issues out before I had ever heard of it. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to go pick up 50 single issues. But I had no problem sitting there and reading through it. There's books that I don't read that I will go to the Barnes & Noble bookstore and I'll pick up the trade off the shelf and I'll sit there in the cafe and read it. I have no problem with that.
Oh, don't be that guy.
But some of those have turned me into actually buying those books.
Okay, well, then
so that's why I do it.
Okay,
Like
okay.
if I'll read through the first 5-6 issues, be like, is this a book I would actually like to read? A lot of them, no. I mean, I read the first trade of Shazam, and from there I knew I never wanted to read that book again.
That is not actually an ongoing book. That is just
It was back issue.
Yeah.
Or back issue matter.
now.
But-
You can get away from trades. You and I both can. Tablets.
Yes.
There's so much more now on the tablets I can't find in trades.
Right.
I can pick them up in tablet
Yeah.
edition.
That's how I got started on Morning Glories. I saw it in the Comixology store. The first issue is free. I'm like, I would never even bother picking this up at a store and I have to read it, but I'll flip through it. And now, like I said, I'm 20 issues into it. There's old issues that you could definitely never find in good readable condition right now. They're always adding issues of
They are.
old Detective Comics, Green Lantern, Superman.
I
Action
just
Comics,
picked
things
up
like that.
Death in the Family when Jason Todd is killed. All 4 issues for $3 on Comixology.
Right. That book you would never be able to find for that cheap now.
A trade
In
of that
DC
is $15.
Yeah, because it was a very monumental storyline. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that's one thing I really do appreciate about digital. And there's tons of stuff on digital that they don't carry in a store at all. It could be a brand new issue, single issue. They're not going to carry it in a local comic shop because there's not enough of a following for it. But the publisher can throw it up there for minimal amount of dollars.
Yep. And you get it.
Yeah.
No, and you and I had a really long discussion about going digital.
Right. You were very opposed to it when I
So
brought it up.
opposed to it.
Yeah.
And then I got my Samsung Galaxy Tab S.
Right.
And I freaking love it. It looks so nice. It's so light, so pretty. I'm still opposed to the price point. New issues that come out. This book cost me $3.99 to buy in paper copy.
Right.
And it comes with a free digital copy. Buying the digital copy is $3.99.
Right.
Doesn't come with a free. So until the price point is worth it, I can't make that transition like you have.
Right.
But you're limited on space where I'm not.
I'm limited on space. I also don't have an issue with the price point because, while I don't have a paper copy to hold in my hands, I'm getting the same story. One thing I did notice today when I was reading Batman Eternal digitally, there's no ads in it.
No ads.
So that's probably part of the reason why they can't lower the price because they don't have the ads to, even though you're not paying for printing costs and shipping and everything like that, they don't have the ads to offset the cost of maintaining it.
So on top of that, and I was told this recently by a writer whose name I won't mention on here because it's a trade secret. He had mentioned that they get paid per issue sold.
Yes.
So if they lower the amount digitally, that may be less that the publisher's making because the author's getting paid the same amount no matter what.
But at least DC is changing that.
They are.
They made an announcement about a month and a half, 2 months ago, where now all creators' royalties, if you will be coming from the price of the comic, not the numbers sold.
That's right.
So if you have a $3.99 comic, you get X% of that.
It's a percent of it.
And they're going to carry that over into print and digital are going to be considered the same. And also they're going to add in color artists are going to get cover credit now also. So your colorist will be put on the cover of. So I think even this one, I think Quintana is the colorist on New Guardians, and he's on the cover.
Okay.
So yeah, Will Quintana, which colors had never really been put on comics, and they set the tone for the entire experience.
They get less respect than the inkers.
Yeah.
And the inkers, without an inker, I mean, a good inker will make or sell your artwork.
Right.
Hands down. Watch Chasing Amy for a bigger elaboration on how to do that. Because they are not tracers.
No.
We've run a little bit long.
Yeah, so
let's wrap it up.
First episode, obviously, we went a little long because we wanted to get a lot of stuff out there, get a little background, stuff like that. But so we're going to make this a weekly thing.
Absolutely.
We are intending
Hopefully.
to record every Wednesday night, New
That's right,
Comic Day,
New Comic
so
Day.
that we can go to the store on Wednesday or whenever and get our books, read them, and they're still fresh in our mind when we go to review them. Obviously, I didn't get to a couple of my books tonight, so I'm going to have to probably start getting my digitals in the morning, read them on my lunch break at work.
Yeah. Work
but-
less, read more comics.
Well, so right now I watched Netflix at lunch.
Oh,
I set my phone up in my truck, and I lay down on my bench seat in my truck, and I watch TV at lunch. So I'll have to readjust some priorities. But obviously comics are more important, so I will do that. And next week we'll hopefully have a much more concise episode for you. Now that
we got one.
We know what we're doing.
It's the debut. Get it
Yeah.
under our belt.
Right.
Knows we watch this
It's-
from our family, anyways.
right, it's like TV shows. The season premiere is always longer than the rest of the episodes, right?
That's very true. This is our pilot
Yeah.
episode.
Pilot
It's
episode.
a really good fact.
I'm actually going to be replacing him next episode with somebody else.
Oh, hopefully she's good looking.
It will be a black female to appease the minorities.
Keep her named Adrian though.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It'll be ADR
Don't do it. Don't.
ANNE.
Ah, you son of a. You know what? Goodbye.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Next week.
All right.
Take care.